Call the meeting to order for the Clemson City Police Advisory Board. Our meeting on Thursday, September 4th. We'll start with our roll call. Myself, Lisa Robinson, present. Jackie Myers is excused. Kevin Dull.
Present.
Sandy Edge.
Present.
Caroline Beatty.
Present.
And we'd like to welcome our new Clemson student representative to the advisory board, Pablo Unda.
Present.
Elaine Masseri. Here. Mr. Winton Hunter.
Here.
Okay, and Ava Ross, who is our high school representative, has a sporting event this evening. Okay, we'll go ahead with the approval of the agenda. If you would take a few minutes to just glance over it, if there are any changes or additions. Does everything seem in order?
Yeah.
Okay, can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, raise your hands. Okay, that's everybody. All right. We can now go on to the minutes, and these are the minutes from July 24th, and they are posted on the city website. So if you would take some time, if you haven't already, to read through them and see if there are any edits, additions, changes. Are there any changes or edits? If there are none, can we get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
It's been moved. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor of approval of the minutes?
Aye.
Raise of hands. Everyone? Okay. We'll now move on to citizen comments. These are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. We do have a few people in the gallery if they have any comments to make. If not, we'll move on. Do we have anyone with any comments? Okay. All right, hearing none, we will move on to our presentation today.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
before we move on for the audience, as you may know or see, we have a Clemson student on our board, and we also have a high school student on our board, and this is the Police Advisory Board, so any police-related issue that a student would like to bring to the board's attention, as you saw, we have citizen comments. They can come and comment, ask questions, etc. So we want the student population to know that this board is accessible to them, even though they only live here while they're going to school here. So we want to hear feedback from them. That's one of the most, I would even say, underserved populations in our city when it comes to representation within the city. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And we have our active shooter presentation with Lieutenant Gooch.
So I'll do a quick introduction. Lieutenant Gooch is a 25-year, as you're walking up, a 25-year employee of the Clemson Police Department. He currently is my lieutenant over our criminal investigations division as well as our dispatch and jail areas. He also has the added responsibilities of our training coordinator for the department and also trying to manage our fleet at the current moment, which takes up a lot of his time. But as such, and in all those different roles, he's trained in and does active shooter presentations, which he's about to give to you. I know he's given it to several organizations throughout the city, and he is available to do that if there is a public request to have the presentation done. So if anybody who's watching and is interested, they can contact the police department and request that. And I will turn it over to Lieutenant Cooch.
Thank you, Chief. Thank y'all for having me. I got to meet a few of you beforehand. I'm gonna try to have some fun, but this is really not a fun topic to talk about. But it's a necessary topic to talk about. There is a little bit of class participation, but I've already complained to the chief that this room is not suitable for classrooms, but he explained that they record it and it's more formal than I ever thought it was with the names and chairs and everything. But a little bit about me. These pictures are taken from the first 2 or 3 years of my career. I served in the U.S. Army from 1992 to 1997. As you can see, that the picture that says Berlin, Germany, I think I hadn't even turned 19 at this point. That's spring of 93, so I was 18 years old in that picture. Top right, that's me and anybody know what a hutia is? It's a Cuban banana rat that we made friends with at the gate in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And then at the bottom, I was there with my Panamanian partner doing combined patrols in the Republic of Panama, and that's 1995. I spent, if you can tell by the years, I spent 3 years in 3 different countries. Unfortunately, I learned a little bit of German when I was in Germany, and within 30 days of leaving Germany, I had to learn to speak Spanish, and that's a tough transition. I'm originally from Fredericksburg, Virginia. I don't know why I tell people that because I've lived here longer than I've lived anywhere. I lived in Virginia from birth to age 18. I joined the U.S. Army, and I served at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, which is right outside of D.C. I did about 2.5 years there, so I have 20.5 years in Virginia, and I have 28 as of July of this year. So I've been here 28 years. Served in the Army, I covered that 92 to 97. I got hired at the Clemson Police Department November 1st of 1999. So if we can do math, November of this year will be 26 years for me. Spent my whole career here. I was in uniform patrol from 99 after I graduated the academy until Chief Campos, I requested to move out of uniform patrol in late 20, early 21, and I moved to my current position in February of 2021. And it's been a ride. We used to have a high-risk team, some people call it a SWAT team. We did fugitive apprehension, building entries. I was a breacher. I broke doors and caused property damage. Currently, Chief explained, I'm the lieutenant over Criminal Investigations Unit, and I have a bunch of other hats that I wear. And I'm also a task force officer with the FBI's Joint Terrorism Task Force in Greenville. I'm a part-time TFO, and we hunt down bad people and follow up leads on people trying to hurt Americans. So I've been a police officer for off and on for almost 31 years of my 51-year life. So it's been a good ride. By definition, the FBI defines active shooter as an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a populated area. I just put some of these up. I really don't like doing this because I can't just have the last one that happened in 2012. This list gets updated way more quickly than I can keep up with it. I did add the Annunciation Catholic Church in Minneapolis. That was about 2 weeks ago. But those are just the ones that we've seen in the media and that you guys are aware of and that you recognize, right? There's more than that. And it's sad that I have to update this PowerPoint every so often. I've taught this PowerPoint at the Ollie Center, the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute up at Patrick Square. I've taught this probably half a dozen times up there. And every time I do it, I have to update the PowerPoint. Sad. I listed Townville Elementary only because Townville Elementary is about 15 miles from where we currently are sitting. And essentially, it's in the backyard. And if you don't know about Townville, gentleman decided, I won't say his name, decided to go to an elementary school and start shooting children. He wasn't very good with his firearm. Unfortunately, he did injure 3 and he killed 2. But the gun malfunctioned, and he was apprehended by a volunteer firefighter who happened to be in the area. So had he known what he was doing, Townville could be a lot worse than what it was. It's tragic either way. But how many people in this room know somebody who was affected by Townville Elementary? I know 2 teachers who work there. One resigned from being a teacher for the rest of her life. She has never taught since that day. And I have one friend that still teaches there, and I have a daughter that went to school there. So it's kind of close to home. It's near us. We're gonna watch a short video. I do have a disclaimer. This video is put out by I believe it was FBI.gov. I had 2 videos. One's less graphic than the other, so I chose this one. It's about a 4 or 5 minute video, and it kind of covers, I want you to pay real close attention to it, and we're going to talk about each phase of this video afterwards, and go from there. So go hit that for me, Chief. If you can't hear, let me know. We've been playing before.
Hi, can I get you started with drinks?
Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta take this.
We'll need a minute.
Hey, you need to back up. You can't be here and get out of my face, man. You think I'm afraid of you? Get off, man. 911, there's a clip.
It improves your chances of survival. Don't go up here.
Police, where is he?
By the bar, blue jeans, black shirt. Empty hands up, follow their instructions.
I'm in the direct line of fire if I head for either exit, but I have other options to help me survive. Guys, come on, in here. Go, go, go. Lock and barricade the door.
Both my exits are blocked by the shooter. I gotta stay hidden. I'm no victim. I'm ready for this.
He's applying direct pressure to the wound to stop the bleeding until we can find a tourniquet. In the meantime, turn off your phones and make a plan to defend yourself.
We have to fight to survive. If you control the weapon, you control the shooter. I'll go for the gun. He'll go for his arms. The bartender will go for the head.
Where is he?
We got him right here! Stay down.
Please, show me your hand!
Over here!
You can survive a mass shooting if you're prepared. Remember, run, hide, or fight. Run. Wherever you go, be aware of alternate exits. Quickly and cautiously evacuate in a direction away.
This is my favorite part to talk about, I don't know why. The fire service and building construction, they spend billions and billions and billions of dollars to protect modern buildings from fire. What's the main thing you see in that picture?
Exit sign.
Exit sign. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I didn't know this until I went to a class, but In most modern buildings, you can look at the exit sign, and most of them have an arrow telling you where the next exit is. So if you go down a hallway and it has a left arrow and a right arrow, you can go left or right. I never noticed it, never paid attention to it until now. I just want to point that out. Thanks, Steve.
From the attacker. Don't hesitate. Seconds matter. Remember windows and emergency exits. Leave belongings behind. Keep your empty hands raised and clearly visible when exiting a building. Follow all instructions from the police. Don't stop until you're sure you've reached a safe location. Hide. If there is no safe escape route, find a good hiding place. Lock and barricade the door. Silence cell phones. Prepare a defense plan. Fight. Fight only as a last resort. Use available objects as improvised weapons. Use teamwork and surprise. A coordinated ambush can incapacitate an attacker. You're fighting for your life. Don't fight fair. Stop the bleed. A victim can die of uncontrolled blood loss in 5 minutes or less. Apply pressure or a tourniquet to control severe bleeding. Go to fbi.gov/survive to learn more.
Not a very fun video, but we can learn something from it. I'm just going to break down each of the run, hide, fight. Escape or evacuate, same thing. They're interchangeable. It's your first priority of action. If you can get out, just get out. Take others with you. Who are the vulnerable? I stutter sometimes. Who are the vulnerable groups? Let's take this room, for instance.
Girls, youngers,
Children,
Old people.
older people.
older people. I don't feel vulnerable.
Handicapped, elderly, things like that. So look out for them. And then figure out how it can be accomplished. I paused the video just to point out, I love pointing it out. I'm pretty sure if we open that door to that hallway and look to the left, there's a window. But if we look to the right, there's another exit sign telling us where to go. I remember we went to, in one of the classes I went to, they made us all close our eyes and they said, point to the door you came in. Open your eyes, everybody's pointing to the door. Well, every one of the doors in that building had an exit sign. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel, I said that earlier, but use what's available. We already covered that. Fire evacuation plan, covered that. A lot of buildings have a map to show you how to get out of the building. If you don't use the exit signs that are provided, a lot of buildings will have some sort of map to tell you how to get out of the building. So you can use that. Go as far as needed to reach a place of relative safety. I don't know where that is. That question comes up in every class. Where do I go? I guess as far as you can to where you can feel safe or until you encounter law enforcement or somebody there to help you. I don't know the answer. If you're able to get out, stay out. If you notice the video, the first young lady, not only did she get out, she stopped others from going in. She said, don't go this way. And she went out to safety. Second option you saw in the video, the second young lady locked herself and some coworkers or friends or strangers in a closet. First thing she did was barricade the door and lock the door. Void windows where possible. It said in the video to be sure to silence your phone. I don't think that I would remember to silence my phone in a crisis situation like that. But it's probably a good idea. I silenced mine just because I didn't want it to go off in this meeting. But I can't imagine hiding and then my obnoxious phone ringtone goes off and the guy's like, oh, he's in here. So silence your phone. Remember to do that. This picture, I believe, was from an Alice class years ago. But part of the training that we had, it was really, I don't know how to explain it. We sit in a classroom at our desk. They begin the scenario. A gunman walks in and shoots everybody with the airsoft gun. All right, call it. Oh, how'd y'all feel? That wasn't fun. I just got shot. Not fun at all. So they do a second iteration. All right, go. Everybody hide under your desk. Everyone hides under the desk. The gunman walks in and shoots everybody in the room with an airsoft gun. People are crying. There's teachers, administrators, cops. So I think there were a few civilians in there, and it was like, well, that's not fun. I got shot the first scenario, and I got shot in the second scenario. Third scenario, do whatever you can to prevent this person from getting into this room. Okay, that's what they're doing. You see they're putting a table up against the wall. You see the gentleman at the door. This room doesn't work for that, but I have a belt, and all they're doing is putting a loop around the handle of the door and taking their weight and preventing the door from opening while putting obstacles in front of the door. So that's part of what they're doing in that picture. We get done, as the gunman finally made it into our room, we crawled out a window and the last person was like, see ya. Calls the scenario, how do you feel? I feel pretty good. I got shot the first two scenarios. The third scenario, nobody got injured. Nobody got, it was training, but nobody got killed. So it gave us a sense of accomplishment that we basically defeated the gunman in this scenario. And that's exactly what they're doing in that picture. One of the classes, there was confusion about inward and outward opening doors, so I took pictures of it. I think what they're trying to say, if I put this chair in front of this door, and somebody just walks in,
Yeah.
so we actually put that in the PowerPoint. This came up in we've been doing, there was a time in my career where it seemed like we had a lot of church shootings, and a lot of the local churches came and asked for help with security assessments, active shooter training, things like that. And I went to a church, and I won't say which one it is, but they all had doors like this. Most churches and most modern buildings have a fire escape door like this one right here. You can lock it with some sort of Allen wrench, right? And you can't get out. So they're all standing around me with their notes, and I said, well, where's the key to that door? How many doors do you have? Oh, we got about 17 doors. Where's the Allen wrench? Buy more Allen wrenches. Now, something simple like that could help them, but how do you, if you did have a situation at the church, how do you lock 17 doors with one wrench that you can't find? So we fixed that problem. I think they bought 20 wrenches, but can you lock the doors? Is it a key lock? Where's the key? Like I just talked about with the Allen wrench, where's the wrench? So you kind of have to know these things. Turn off lights again. Silence your phone. I don't think I wouldn't remember to do that. Improvise security measures. Think outside the box. This is literally, I hope that none of us ever deal with this, and I hope I never deal with it, but it's life or death. So think outside the box. I mean, it's the best you can do. They just piled up a bunch of, looks like classroom furniture. It's an outward facing door, but is it going to stop the guy from getting in? Probably not, but it's going to slow him down, and that buys you time. Again, that's from one of those, either Alice or Alert, but they're barricading the door with furniture and file cabinets and tables. I don't know if you guys know Lowell. I think he's been in some of it. Does he ever do he's our IT director, and I think he would have a coronary if he saw that. So. But that looks like a pretty heavy industrial printer. It probably weighs a lot, but if that's all you have to work with, that's all you have to work with. I like this one. Just stack all the chairs. Can the gunman get in? Probably, but he's going to have to go through that. So just think outside the box. Another example of a belt. I got a little outside my element at one of the churches. We did matter of fact, we did I think it was like 4 or 5 churches. We did one public speaking, like security awareness and active shooter. And I asked for a volunteer. and the pastor pulled off this belt, and I'm not trying to make fun of it, it was probably the cheapest belt I've ever seen. And within a minute, I broke it, trying to show off, and I didn't do belt demos for a while. I actually bought him a new belt. It was a little woven leather belt. I broke it in about less than a minute. But you see what he's doing, you take I have a heavy nylon belt, but you can basically defeat the scissor mechanism on the door. You take the belt, wrap it around this mechanism right here, and it defeats the. Now look, can the belt break? Sure. Can the device break, or the mechanism break? Probably, it could, but it prevents it from doing what it's supposed to open up. So, I remember that if I was gonna do a belt demo, I brought a heavy duty belt, so I didn't break it. But as you can see, that's my favorite. It's the most powerful picture in this PowerPoint. They took one chair and defeated the entire door. And that's an old school fire door. It's got the lever action to open it. You can't open it with the door blocking the.
You don't hardly see those bars like that anymore.
I honestly don't think I've seen those probably since I was in school. Most of the doors, excuse me, most of the doors we see these days with this style right here or something similar to this. Information to provide law enforcement, location of an active shooter if you know, number of shooters if you can tell. If you notice in the video, she gave a pretty decent description and where they were in the bar itself. Number and type of weapons. I don't think people can remember all this in a crisis situation, but do the best you can. Get as much information as you can. The other thing I thought about, I should probably put it in here, if something were to happen right now in this room, everyone in here has a cell phone, and everyone's going to try to use the cell phone at the same time. So, could overload 911, but you got to get the information out. Fight, that guy in the video you saw, he said, I'm going to grab the gun, he's going to grab the legs, and the other guy's going to grab the head. You notice he picked up a bottle of some sort of liquor, and the guy said, I'm not going to be a victim today. He made a conscious decision, one way or the other, I'm not going to just sit here and die. I'm going to do something about it. They formulated a plan. It's the last thing, it's a last-ditch effort. Somewhere here it says don't fight fair. They said it in the video, but you saw in the video, gather improvised weapons. The one guy had a fire extinguisher. The other woman picked up some sort of pot. So this still shot is from the other video, and look what's about to happen to him when he comes in. He's about to get a fire extinguisher to the head. This video, my captain told me not to show this one. It's way more graphic than the one I showed, so we just switched videos. Distract, disorient, disarm. Look at this one, kind of what they were talking about in the bar. And they say in like martial arts and wrestling, you control the head, you can control the body. And if you see, he's got what looks like a towel. One guy's on his chest, two are holding the legs, and he's got his head. So that guy's not going anywhere. Strength in numbers. I added this, what do I do with the weapon? That came up in one of the presentations. There's two different, probably two or more schools of thought. One, it's a loaded weapon, and it's also a piece of evidence. I would rather explain why I picked up that gun and moved it than to leave it there for someone else to use. Does that make sense? So, yes, it's evidence. You probably don't want to disturb it, but you also don't want it to be used against you. So the whole point of it is you have to deny the assailants the opportunity for more victims. So I would say pick up the gun and don't let anybody else have it. So active shooter in this room, what can we do to prevent people from getting into this room? I don't think we can lock the door. I don't think I'm looking for the Allen wrench key. I don't know where they keep it. Probably a good thing to know. Close the door, try to lock it. We've got what? 30-something chairs in here. You all have chairs. There's 2 tables. What else can we use?
Podium?
Podium. What can we use for weapons besides what Chief and I are? Maybe some of you might have on you, I don't know.
Computer screen's pretty heavy. I'm just saying.
That computer.
Heavy
over there.
computer monitor.
That computer.
Hanging stuff at somebody's head.
Whatever you can use. This one, right? You talking about this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would definitely,
Yeah.
Lowell would probably get a
Block on the wall.
We talked about this earlier, where the exits, there's 2 in here. I said there was probably another sign in there, I'm just looking just to see.
I think there's 2 in
One at the end of the hall going into the lobby, and one right here to this door that goes to the.
And the fire extinguisher is right there.
Correct.
there. Fire extinguishers just.
Oh, yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a fire extinguisher. So there's all that. I mean, stab them with that flagpole, whatever you have to do.
Yeah. Especially the South Carolina one. Has a spear.
What's that? Go ahead.
I was saying, out of the 2 flagpoles, the South Carolina has the spear.
Most of us don't wear belts. Sports bra will also do the trick. Just wrap it tight around. We usually have one of those around, so.
It says remain calm. I don't know how you're gonna do that, but follow instructions, put items down. I'm pretty sure you don't wanna run up to the police officer with, here, hold this. So, you notice in the video, the girl ran out, hands up, arms up, hands open, so they can see you're not a threat. Follow instructions, and it says once you reach an assembly point, where all witnesses can be identified and questioned. Again, I don't know where that place in safety. Last one. So this was at the end of my time in Berlin, Germany. We took a international forces photo. So there's French, German, English, and American soldiers in that picture. And if you can see the arrow, that's me.
Gooch.
It took me about 15 minutes to remember where I was in that picture, but I found it. So, any questions? And please don't ask me where the area of safety is, because I don't know.
Okay, so somebody's putting together a presentation, and you would say, you want somebody to know where an Allen wrench is, somebody's gonna be responsible to call 911, like if this was a teacher saying it to kids, and then the other thing would be ringers, and then if there is a weapon, this is a gray area, so I was a little concerned with this about a gun. If
I don't
somebody,
even think it's a gray area anymore. I do see that it is evidence, and you don't want to.
He's talking about somebody armed in the group.
Oh, in this
No,
one?
actually,
Oh,
I
I don't
wasn't.
know.
No, what I was
I'm
talking
sorry, I
about-
misunderstood what you said. Go ahead.
what I was talking about is we say to get the gun and isolate it, right? But if they're cognizant enough to do that, they would probably have gun awareness, so that would be a good point. But if you pick somebody out of the group to say, okay, you get the gun, what would be a good protocol for a program to, where do you put it? You hide it, or, because you can't walk around with it, because then you become,
Somebody suggested put a trash can over it. I say pick it up. If you have any type of knowledge about guns, just
right.
do the best you can. Were you talking about people being armed in the?
That was a secondary, but that was a
Okay.
follow-up, but.
That comes up, a lot of churches now are identifying people as part of their security, and there's armed people in churches. And there's actually, I saw a thing on churches in Texas where they train the congregation to attack the assailant, like 20 deep. They have people identified to do that. That's a pretty big, I mean, a noble cause, but it's a pretty big commitment. But they train like that in, I think it was in, I want to say it was in Texas. They do drills in church, like shooter, and like everybody just runs out of, you can't take all of us out. You might get a couple, but you're not gonna get all of us. So that's a pretty eye-opening thing that they're doing in churches. A lot of churches, and this question comes up about, can you carry in church? I don't know. Churches have a board of trustees or a board of elders or, you know, whatever they call it. And they have to go through their legal to figure out how to go about that. But, and there's even churches that hire police officers to be in their parking lot during a service. It's sad that it comes to that, but that's a pretty good deterrent, I would think. So.
You got a question behind you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay, that's okay. Or has it been determined, are these active shooters in all these situations, are they deterred by a barricaded or locked door? Or do they just go on to like the next one? Are they deterred or not? Or?
I think they're going for the, they're going for an opportunity. So if you go to a door and it's locked, you're gonna move for the path of least resistance. Yes, ma'am. That's what.
I would also say too that the data is inconclusive because many of these active shooters either shoot themselves or get shot themselves. So debriefing them afterwards is not possible.
Yeah, it's not possible.
I think people try to apply logic like, well, if you're barricaded in a room, if he's not targeting a particular person or group, he or she is not going to spend more time trying to get into a room and move on to the next thing. But I caution people applying logic to that because these are not logical situations. So you don't really know that for sure. So I would say the data is inconclusive in however, in the analysis of the shootings, in school shootings and such, when people have barricaded themselves and those kind of things, they survived. So that's why they teach it, because that worked in a lot of different situations.
Does everybody remember the Virginia Tech shooting? They had a one room, I think it was 20 students in there, and the only person that died was the professor because he held the door so they could escape. But the gunman shot through the door. But he saved, I think it was 20 students that day. And he was the only one in that room.
I think the Parkland shooting in Florida, the shooter didn't go into any classrooms to shoot, but he was shooting people in the hallways.
It's weird. They're all different.
Yeah.
Similar. Question about. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Huh?
You wrote first.
Oh, okay. About cell phones and then windows. So when everything's barricaded, people are inside, you want to be quiet because the person is maybe walking around, but we know everyone wants to make that last call, they think to mom, 911. If you're the person in charge of the room, like you're the staff member or the faculty or person conducting a meeting or whatever, do you just tell everyone, silence your phones and designate one person to do that, or just give people their opportunity just to be quiet? Because I think natural instinct is going to be to make that call.
There's always
right?
going to be that type A who's going to be like, y'all need to be quiet.
It's like, no, I'm going to call my mom.
I think most people are probably trying to do the same thing. Make a phone call 911. People could be screaming, yelling. There's so many variables to it. I don't know. That's a good question.
And then with the windows, so when
Stay away from windows.
Right, when you're barricaded in, you're spending so much time pushing stuff up to the door, but then there are windows, is it worth it to just take something and slam it through the window and try to get out?
Yeah, I mean, that actually happened. Well, we didn't break the window, but we did our Alice training at Liberty. No, I'm sorry, Pickens. It's the one on the hill. I think it's Pickens Middle. And their windows actually opened. And when the gunman finally broke through our barricade, our whole group was out the window, and the last guy was like, yeah, see ya. So we actually went out and we didn't break anything. And I actually don't know I don't know much about construction science, but I don't even know these windows. I'm sure if we hit it with a fat computer, we could probably break it. Hit it enough. I think it goes back to, it's like, find improvised weapons, don't fight fair. This is life or death. Well, if we want to get out that window, we're going to figure out a way to get out the window. But I don't know. I don't think Andy wants me to, Andy doesn't want me to break the window to find out, but, yes, ma'am.
Some years ago, they, somebody, it might have been you, somebody came from the sheriff's, well, they came from the sheriff's department, I believe, at our church, because we were concerned about this. And the way our church is configured, it's a smaller church, and there's a big entrance, and they probably would come through that door. And there's some, people squeamish about us having guns in there. So he suggested the person on the back pew have a baseball bat, because they're not gonna come in and shoot, probably see that person. They're gonna come in and start shooting this way. And then he also advised for everybody else to start throwing hymnals at him, because they are heavy and it's a distracting thing.
It goes into the whole OODA loop where they're trying to focus on one thing and now they're addressing a hymnal coming at them, and it starts the process over each time you do it.
We have a question back here.
Talking about phones within the classroom, a lot of other states are now doing like phones in bags, like locked bags. Do you think that alleviates like the calls that are being made? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing?
I have a torn, because I have a 13-year-old who has a phone, and they're not allowed to use their phones in school. Well, if something happens, how are they going to contact me or law enforcement or emergency services or 911 if they can't get to their phone because it's in a locked bag? I think it's counterproductive. That's my personal opinion. But I also don't want my kid to have a phone in school because it's a distraction. And they just said you can't have phones in school. So I'm kind of torn. As a parent, I'm torn because I would want my kid to call me, to be honest. But then I also would want somebody to call for me or somebody to go help them. That's kind of weird.
At my nephew's school, they're allowed to keep the phone on them. It just has to be off. So they can still grab their bag and leave. If it's a teacher that won't let them have it, she collects them in a bag so they can grab it and take it out. And that way they can still contact emergency services in the event something happens, but it eliminates the distraction too. So some of the schools are thinking through those kinds of things too when they're doing
I
that.
would hope that a teacher or admin or professor or whatever school we're in, at least they have their phones on them.
Was there a question down here? I see.
The one thing I've learned from
Sandy.
doing this presentation over and over and over is that there's so many variables, because none of them are the same. They're similar, they have similarities, but there's always a different variable. The one guy, it was a good question that like hit me in the face. He said, what if there's another gunman outside? I'm like, I don't know. I can't predict that. I don't have the presence of, I can't tell you there's not gonna be one. We don't know. That happened in Mississippi. There was a gunman outside. So I don't know, but I'm just saying get out and get to a safe place. But he hit me with that, and I'm like, I don't know the answer. I can't predict variables.
Have you been over to
I think I had a
Clemson Elementary?
question.
Do they have a, Clemson Elementary, do they have a protocol for this? Do they have a program set up to like?
Officer Mills will probably know a little more about it. I have done this presentation, and we do it once. I think she did it last time. We do it each semester, or at the beginning of each semester, to teachers, admin, janitors, custodians, lunch people, everybody.
Well, thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it. I think Sandy has the last question, unless our students have any other questions.
I won't forget.
Are you guys, anything else?
I really just hope it never happens. It's something, I'd rather have some sort of training and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah, probably not a good thing to say, but I think if somebody bad enough wants to work hard enough, it's going to happen. I mean, now the crazy people that go out there and haven't decided what they're going to do and how they're going to lay it down, that's a different story. How often do you think schools or even Clemson University or whatever, should we run a pattern ever so often? Should we practice? Should we?
I I think university does it.
They do, but I'm not sure how often they do it and all those kind of things, but.
They do some sort of training, probably more than annually.
And you can request
They
it
do-
for your department,
they do,
for someone to come in.
They do a lot of tabletop exercises, group discussions, but they do a pretty big exercise probably every.
With the first responders.
Yeah.
But are you asking for the student populace?
Well, yeah, any of those, because I think if we don't do it periodically and it's another 5 years before they do it, you know.
You can request it,
Yeah.
and they have, the CUPD has a couple different trainings that they'll do, and they'll even come and walk your building with you to kind of point out things and.
I've been a part of my department, they do it once a year.
The governor, though, I would like to say, I mean, finally, I guess he's working on it, but there will be an officer at each of the schools in the state. He has started putting that together. Now, that's a pretty good move, I'd say there, and that's
For
probably
this
costing some
particular-
money. Yeah.
Well, he's talking about, so the schools in the state that don't have officers in them, the governor got money for grants for those schools to have officers in them. If you already had officers in the schools, then you're not eligible for that money. So all the Pickens County schools have officers in them.
All public schools in Pickens County have officers in them.
So, but they're like, usually in the poorer parts of the state, they couldn't afford to put officers in them, and so now the state's gonna supplement that.
So that's a good move, but, I mean, the world's not getting.
Sad that we have to.
It doesn't appear to be the world's getting a lot safer anymore right now with a lot of things, but who knows? But it's nice to, at least in the back of your mind, to have at least a thought about this. You're kind of, really, you mean this? We're thinking about something like this? I mean, it could happen here. Really could. But we appreciate your
Lieutenant
comments
Cooch,
and what
thank
you
you very
did, young
much.
ladies. And
Something I don't want
And
to, I never
people
wanted
think
to
about
teach in my
Absolutely.
career.
No, this is a great presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We
It's
appreciate
been
it.
tweaked, it's probably version 27.5, because I try to keep it updated and add things that, people ask questions, and I can only think of so much, but there's always, like tonight, we had several good questions that I didn't think about that, but it's ever evolving. I do have my contact information. Chief's like, get out of here. So, if you ever need to get in touch with me, Chief can get you in touch. I put my office number up there. A lot of days I'm not in my office. I'm Greenville. I've been to Georgia twice this week. But if you ever need me, I'm always there for you. If you want me to speak in front of a group, just let me know, and I'll be more than happy to.
Great.
You guys have university police, huh? No, that's good. Actually, a lot of what I learned from their Chief Harrington, who's a really good speaker. I don't know if he has time for speaking now because he's doing his chief lead meetings, but he's a really good speaker.
Great, thank you very much.
Awesome.
We definitely appreciate
If you ever
it.
need me, I'm always here.
Thank you.
Appreciate what you do. My
Thanks,
sense
Sheriff.
is
Thanks meeting you.
You'll come running, and be my sense.
All right.
I look for it.
We'll go ahead to the agenda, the department status and staffing review, Chief.
Thank you. Currently have 3 officer vacancies. We have 1 officer starting next week, but the 2 remaining vacancies after he starts are due to 2 officers that just recently left us. One who took a job with SLED and one went into the private sector. We held interviews for those 2 vacant positions this week, and so I think we have 2 candidates that came out of those interviews that we're now going through background. We have 2 officers in the academy currently. They are due to come out the middle of this month and then start their field training. We have 1 dispatcher position opening tonight. We have a dispatcher who's retiring. Our last night is tonight, so that vacancy will be doing some processes to fill. Our new cars are in, they're striped. He was talking about going to Georgia. We sent them to the upfitters this week to get the rest of the equipment put in them. So we hope to have them within the next 2 months and get them out on the road. A couple of initiatives. that we're working on now at the start of school. We did if you remember last year, this time, we took a lot of alleged reports of drink spiking occurring while people were drinking downtown. As a result of that process, we learned of a kit that a nonprofit in the Midlands had put together for food poisoning or poisoning, which drink spiking is, and they called it the green screen. And they put the little kit together that had a little informational packet in it to explain to the victim what the crime was, how the investigation goes, has a consent kit, and it also has a blood and urine sample kit in it. That same kit that we use when we do DUI investigations and that kind of stuff. That within a certain time period, whether for blood or urine, if they submit to it, we could determine if they were given something, ingested something. Because up until that point, we had no way of determining that, and all of those alleged activities were combined with alcohol intake. And there was always a debate as to how much alcohol intake occurred and why they think they were spiked because of the way they felt, et cetera. So the Pan-Atlantic group at the university thought they had found a kit that they could use while they're out entertaining themselves and test the drink. Well, that kit, when I found out about it, I did some research, was definitely not a reliable kit and didn't do half of what it alleged it did. So this is how I found out about the post-testing. A lot of people assumed that when they went to the hospital and got tested that they would be able to find out if they had anything in their system. That's not how the hospital works. When a hospital tests for foreign substances, it's testing for treatment reasons so that they don't have adverse drug reactions. They're not testing for forensic analysis of what's in your system. They're just determining, do you have an opiate in your system? Do you have an amphetamine in your system? Do you have something else? So that when the doctor is treating you, they're not prescribing medications that will counteract or interact with those drugs. So you're not going to find out if you were spiked or not. So with that said, we partnered with the Pan-Atlantic group. They raised money and did a bagging event, and we now have the kits available. We have information on our website. I can't get to our website or I'd show you, but the university also has information on their website. We've worked with the 2 local hospitals with the procedure on how that works. The patient, when they come in, has to pay for the collection, but they do not have to pay for any testing because the kit will be given to the officer. The officer will then send it to the lab to be tested. So they will have to pay for the process of the collection of the samples.
So, excuse me, Chief, when do they request that? When they are
So first
going to the hospital because they feel like
if they get transported via the ambulance and they're in the hospital and they think they may have been, they need to let hospital staff know at that time that I think I've been drink spiked. The hospital will then try to determine through questioning which agency to contact, because the location of where the spiking is alleged to have occurred, that jurisdiction is the agency that has to respond before the kit, before we can use the kit, because we have to initiate a criminal investigation in order for the sample to be received and set. So it's not like it's separate than a sexual assault. Sexual assaults are handled differently. This is only if you think you've been drink spiked and nothing else happened to you. Now, if you think you were drink spiked and then a sexual assault occurred, that's a different process, and the hospital definitely knows how to go through that procedure. And they do take blood and urine samples during that procedure to determine the same thing. So it explains on our website the process and how that goes, but I just wanted to point that out as a partnership between the university, us, University Police Department, and the area hospitals to address an issue. So far, we've had a couple of alleged drink spikings reported. They're under investigation. We don't know the outcomes of those yet, but we've yet to determine either last year or this year if that's really occurring or not. We're finding out in a lot of cases where people swore up and down that they were drink spiked, that they did not understand how powerful a drug alcohol is, and when you drink copious amounts of it, it will do different things to you, not the same way every time, and it will cause you to have some of these adverse effects because our body chemistry is changing all the time. So, but if somebody is doing that, we want to find out who it is, and we want to take them to justice and get them to stop. So that's part of the reason for going through that whole procedure. I think that's it for.
Any questions on the staffing review? Anything for the crime review?
So crime review, we got 2 months to report. We have July and August. So for the month of July, we answered 4,100 calls for service. We did 756 traffic stops and issued just shy of 400 citations. We did 14 DUI arrests, and we issued, I think we made 15 minor possession arrests during July, 1 noise violation issued, and about 47 crashes, 13 of which were injuries. And in August, we did 860 traffic stops and issued 564 citations. As far as crimes reported, in August, we had 2 robberies reported, 2 aggravated assaults, 13 simple assaults, 2 break-ins. We had 0 burglaries to vehicles, both July and August. We had 1 motor vehicle theft in August. We had 7 in July. Those were mostly scooters. Malicious damage, we had 6 in July, 2 in August. We had 6 drug violations in July and 7 in August. We had 1 sexual exposure in July. And let's see, we had 13 DUI arrests in July and 18 in August. And that is it for the crime review.
And the crime map, is that
The crime map is
available on the website anymore?
It is not. The crime map, so we went to our new CAD system. We're still trying to work on getting them to talk to one another, and we're having technical difficulties with that. So unfortunately, our crime map's not working.
And how are things for the LSU game in town with the new alcohol in the stadium and also the golf cart regulations?
So this game, by observations and visual estimates alone by my staff, said this is probably the most well-attended game in 10 years. So the next closest attended game that they are comparing it to is when Notre Dame came in 2015. So there were a lot of people in town, more so than any other home game. It was very busy. I was asked and interviewed on the news about the alcohol sales in the stadium, and there's no empirical data that we can say, or even observational data that we could say that the selling of alcohol in the stadium had an effect out into town. And the reason for that is there's no way to know whether the person was intoxicated off of alcohol they consumed at their tailgate prior to going into the stadium, or at halftime, them leaving the stadium and then going and consuming alcohol and then coming back into the stadium. So there's no real way to determine that. Now, if the stadium did not allow re-entry, and we saw people leaving the stadium intoxicated, inebriated, then we could make that type of observation. But there's no way for me to know that you went into the stadium completely sober, came out of the stadium, went to a tailgate, did 6 shots, and then walked downtown and became inebriated. there's no way for me to know that unless I followed you around. So, you know, logic would say there was probably some type of an effect, and they did eject a lot of people, but a lot of the ejections, I'm told, were people who were coming up to the stadium already inebriated and being turned away. So that is not because of sales in the stadium. That's because of what
So
they did
otherwise,
prior
it just
to.
seemed like a regular game?
It just regular game activity with extra people in town. And it took a very long time for traffic to clear up after the game, and that was because it was a close game and everybody stayed to the bitter end, and then they all left at the same time. And the analogy I used was just like the Savannah Bananas, where once the Savannah Bananas was over, everybody left all at the same time. And when 40,000 cars hit the road all at the same time, there's nowhere for anybody to go. So it just took a little while to get. Now, as far as the golf carts, we have golf cart ordinance update down here. It passed, so now you can drive your golf carts at night. We stopped a handful of carts during the game. We cited some folks. You may have seen on social media one of the golf carts getting towed off of 123. The reason for that was it was not permitted through the state, and if it's not permitted through the state, there's no insurance. And they're on a road they're not supposed to be on. So if you're driving a car down the road and you have no insurance, your car's going to get towed. So in this case, the golf cart got towed. I observed golf carts being used as taxis, which is not allowed. I cited a person personally for that myself. He actually was bold enough to put a poster board on the front of his golf cart with his rates and how he could be paid. So he got cited for that. So we handle them as we can based on what's going on, but we had a lot of stuff going on, and the officers that were mainly in the downtown area was there just to try to keep the peace and keep order while people were walking around. So
Were there golf cart lanes? I remember there was a discussion about having some golf cart lanes to kind of divert that traffic.
Project that is yet to come to fruition yet. That's part of a sidewalk project that was supposed to go up Martin Street and get around the gate up there at Martin Street, but that's yet to be constructed. So.
Are there any questions? Oh, Elaine?
About the golf carts. I have never gone downtown. It's been 100 years, but I had to go through town a couple of hours before the game started, and that's the first time I'd ever been through that. And I thought, my goodness, how are the police even dealing with all this? But I had to go over off of Riggs to let somebody's dog out. And anyway, I just noticed, the thing I noticed about most of the golf cart violations I saw, and this was even happening before the ball game, days before, is the number of children, little kids that I saw on golf carts, little babies, mothers holding these babies, and then a lot of them little with no seatbelts. And I know it was impossible because of everything else going on, but that was just something I noticed more than anything as a violation.
And there were a few that we stopped because of that as well. So if we stopped every single one of them, I probably wouldn't have many officers to do much else.
No, I'm not criticizing it, but I'm just saying that was just something I noticed. Even a week or so before, as soon as it passed, we noticed it out on Berkeley and all. Yeah. And
you'd be surprised the response by the adults on the golf carts about their lack of knowledge of what the law says. So it's an educational thing as well.
Any other questions for Chief on the review?
Back maybe to the alcohol, and having listened to Graham Neff for about an hour and a half this morning, but that was probably the biggest and most hurry up and let's make it done, and it was packed, and I've never seen a place to that extent that was with that game. It started, I think, a little bit with baseball. I did not see a lot of thing in baseball happening, but when we got ready to leave baseball, there were some people that got left out. there was beer and bottles everywhere where those kids would run on the side of the baseball, and that's where the trash has been. At the football game, they quickly, I think, scooped up a few things that they had thrown out on the field, and they picked it up, and everybody started mumbling, "Don't do that." That's normally happened in another school in the middle part of the state. We with the Scroll of Honor and other folks right around the stadium there, we picked up a lot of trash. We picked up some broken bottles on the Scroll of Honor. I mean, just things like that. So it was the wildest place, the biggest place. That's probably going to happen. They made some money, but I don't think it was over the top considering necessarily what, all the folks we had there and everything else going on. So he's going to continue to watch it, but it's going somewhere, and they weren't full, they were empty, all those things. But
Is there anything else?
we got anything else maybe?
Yep, moving on. So we already discussed the golf cart ordinance. We'll come back to that if there's anything further on that. And the subcommittee rules. So the city administrator, Andy Blondo, sent this to the board and commission chairs, and just so that everyone's aware, to ensure compliance with state law and promote the most open and transparent government possible, boards and commissions shall not create any subcommittees or working groups without prior authorization from the city administrator's office. So make any formation requests through the board or commission's assigned city staff or support person. We have Jeremiah Jackson as well as Carla, who could assist us with that if we need to, say, for example, when we discuss the golf cart ordinance, or when we previously did the tethering ordinance, we need to go through the city administrative office first, and our support person before forming a subgroup to do that. They're not saying that you can't do that, but they just want to be aware if there are any sort of sidebar
So the reasoning for
groups
that,
being formed.
the work groups or whatever, they have to be recorded, there has to be minutes, there has to, almost like a
As a
regular
meeting.
meeting, as a public meeting. And that's why we can't do this any longer. They just want to assure that all those things are being done when that group is formed. So
That
that's.
makes sense, that there's a public record for anyone
Correct.
who wants
So
to
if
know.
there's any FOIA requests of what was discussed, there's minutes and stuff that can be referred to.
All right, thank you. Any questions on that, anyone? Okay,
The only thing I would have left, we looked over what is this thing called? All the laws, the letters we got of code of ethics and conduct, so I must have spent a lot of time reading through this more times than I wanted to. But there were two quick things that kind of caught my attention.
go ahead.
A little bit. This is overall. The chair will announce limits on speakers at the start of the public hearing process as set by the governing body. To me, what I've seen in some of the big meetings that have occurred here, it's been limited to 3 minutes. I don't think, I think that's kind of a bit
That's the-
much for people to come and do some things that 3 minutes or whatever it is, I would think needs to be looked at again a little bit.
So that's 3 minutes is the standard rule, but the chair does have discretion to allow an additional 2 minutes and then to allow another additional 2 minutes. And if it's a situation where there aren't that many people there, there's the discretion there to just allow the persons to speak. Yeah.
3 minutes. And the other thing that caught my eye a little bit, talking about boards, it said, members of the council shall refrain from using their provisions to, take care of other things. But they went on to say, they shall refrain from attending or participating in their other meetings. So is that same, and that paragraph 12 I looked at, so if I were on that board, you telling me you couldn't refrain and go and behave yourself and be quiet. But that's on item number 12, Code of Ethics. And it says, refrain from their position, whatever, and commission proceedings, and shall refrain from attending or participating in their meetings. I don't know.
Meaning a different meeting.
I'm putting over this.
So I think that's with reference, right, to a meeting that you are not a board member of, rather than making comments, but maybe interjecting yourself in even maybe the decision-making process somehow. I think that's probably what
Instead of
that
a citizen
refers to.
comment, it's a-
Right, as opposed to you should, if it's not a commission or a board that you're on, then you're making a citizen comment, right?
Well, what about, but a council member from the, if you're on the council, you couldn't get invited or wouldn't go? I'd probably
Well,
go
you
to a lot of
could,
meetings, but.
I think a board or commission could invite a council member certainly to present something to us.
It was just the
or-
way it was worded,
Yeah,
I thought.
Yeah, I don't think that's meant to, I hope that's not meant to be a deterrent.
So just spent some time with it, and now it's going to another stack.
Well, thank you for taking that close of a read. That's good. Appreciate that. Okay, and next, I think the last thing we have as business is the parking deck ordinance. And Chief, you have an
That's gonna be quick.
update?
I learned that the ordinance I was looking at that Charleston had on the books, they no longer enforce because of the issues that they were having legally about it. So we're back to the drawing board on that one. So I'll probably take it off the agenda until we can find a solution.
And for those in the gallery here who may not be aware, there are some issues downtown with, what do you say, people
Young adults.
staying in the parking lots to just hang out and rev their cars and ride around and do that kind of thing.
That are not old enough to get in the bars and they're not, and they got nowhere else to go.
Yeah, they're just hanging out in the parking lots. Okay, do we have any other suggestions for board presentations? This was a very good one today. I think Sandy, you suggested that one, right? Was this one today? Was Lieutenant Gooch one you suggested? That was a very good presentation.
I
Oh,
don't
that was
think the
you.
universities picked their chief
That was a
yet,
really
either,
good
have
one.
Say again?
I don't think universities picked their chief yet, do they?
No, they have not.
No, it's still interim. Yeah, he's still interim. Well, if there are other suggestions, we definitely can see about bringing some other presentations in front of us. And does anyone have anything for open discussion? And our next meeting is in October.
Okay.
Yep.
October 23rd, but be reminded that November and December generally fall on Thanksgiving and Christmas week. So if you want to have another meeting on those two dates, we would have to know in October. But I thought in one of our previous meetings,
Right.
we just said we were going to forego
Reconvene
and just
in the new
reconvene
year.
in January. So
Yes.
if that's what you still want to do, I'm good with it. It would just
Is
want to tell
everyone
you,
good
you only
with
have
that?
one more meeting to decide whether you want to have another meeting or not.
Want to discuss it again on October 23rd?
Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my schedule is wide open.
Okay, can we get a motion to adjourn if there's no other
Motion.
business? Been moved?
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Thank you all
All
for
right,
coming.
meeting's adjourned.
Maybe learn something.